Welcome into another episode of the KFG Pod. Today we got a special one for you guys, or I should say a spooky one for you guys with Halloween coming up. We're going to do a nice little Halloween themed episode, and who better to join me than Drew, the holiday special co-host himself. Welcome into the pod.
Thanks for having me. Always a good time during the holidays, so great to get some content out for the website.
Yeah,
So let's have a
definitely.
spooky episode.
A scary episode, and you know what? Nothing scarier right now than my costume here. I'll break it down for you. It's tough to really get a gauge on what I am, but I am the ghost of my team's past. I got a few players representing on my team that have definitely failed me over the previous years, and to top it all off, I got my playoff choker on, because that's what I'm known for here. So it's the scariest outfit of them all, at least for me.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah,
Got the jerseys on, you got your playoff choker on. I mean, it's you in
absolutely.
a nutshell.
Yeah.
You're just being yourself.
Hey, nothing better, right? All
Sure.
right.
Love is mine.
Yeah, well, what do you
All
got for
right.
us today, Drew?
Yep, so let's pour one of these bad boys out.
Whoa, whoa!
Oh, I'm so drunk right now. I'm gonna draft Zamir White
Oh!
in the sixth round. Oh
Love
my
it.
God, what am I gonna do?
What are you gonna do, dude?
Look at this beautiful card. And that's why I'm
Oh,
going to draft him. He's going to be an RB1 this year. I love this guy.
oh, that's terrifying to look at.
Shout out Zamir White and
Bo-
Tequila, my two favorite things this year.
Yeah, both of us just frightening outfits. You
Terrifying.
look away, look
We're both
away.
just being ourselves too. We're not even.
Yeah,
Are we even dressed up right now? We're just being ourselves.
absolutely. All right, before we break into this episode, I am gonna do a quick change. Give me a quick pause here. Sorry, Juve, I had to take off the past because you know what? We're looking at the future, and today you and I are gonna be breaking down each team's. We saw mine, but we're gonna break down each team's scariest players for both themselves and for the rest of the league here today. Um, you just saw the scariest thing we've ever seen right there. Will be a little bit less scary when we go through these players,
Yeah.
but still something worth frightening. All right, we'll start with a team here today. We'll start with why don't we start with Shijin? We'll
Do
start
it.
down here. Now Shijin's had a rough path. I'll break us down. So we're gonna do, one, two players, whatever it is that player, like that owner is scared of for the rest of the season, as well as players that the league is going to be scared of. So I will cover and take on what the league is looking at and going to be scared of. Drew's going to add in his opinion on what that owner should be afraid of moving forward. And for me, we might have the same ones here. I got the league being afraid of some players coming off the IR for Shijin, like Christian McCaffrey and Nico Collins. Now, I know Shijin's looking like Monday night pending that he could go to 3-5, and with Nico and CMC possibly coming back right around the corner, Shijin can make that late playoff push. Getting these two guys into his lineup would be huge. He's been able to kind of rattle off some wins without them. Getting them in would be absolutely massive. And not only, even if by the end of the league, if Shijin is for some reason out of it, he's going to be a team you do not want to face late in the season, playing that spoiler role, trying to knock people out with those two powerhouses back in the lineup.
Yeah, it's definitely fair. His IR is like really scary. I think everyone Guinea's there too. I mean, that's like a playoff team if they're all healthy. And obviously, yeah, pairing up Nico and with Malik, who's already been killing it, and CMC might come back week 11.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's like a top like four team if that's how it is. So yeah, he might play spoiler for some of us. So yeah, definitely it's a little scary.
Absolutely.
And for the scariest guy that Sigyn owns, I went with Amari Cooper just
Hmm.
because 2 weeks ago when he got traded, Sigyn was like finally has a quarterback, and then he put up 1.6 last week or something, one catch, and then Jameis Winston comes on the Browns, and he's a really good quarterback for fantasy
Yeah.
purposes. So kind of wish Jameis Winston got that start earlier. Maybe Amari would still be happy and still be there. So Amari Cooper might not be the guy Sigyn wants to keep moving with.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen as well, just trades in season aren't always as good as, you get in the off season. When a new receiver finds a new home in the off season, it's a little bit more rewarding. You have a lot of time in the off season. I don't know if anyone else remembers, since we're throwing some things back to the scary days, but when Golden Tate got traded to the Eagles midseason, it was absolutely awful. I had Golden Tate that year. I feel like I always had Golden Tate, but just it doesn't always work midseason, and we could definitely see that happen. Take some
Hmm.
time to get used to it. Could be frightening.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll get
But
into our next team here with Steve. Why not? Why don't you start us off? What is Steve afraid of rest of the season?
it's just really Tyreek Hill. I mean, a
Yeah.
lot from Steve to be afraid of. I couldn't put down every single guy who put up a donut this year or negative points. But obviously those guys were like not like his top draft picks. Tyreek Hill was his first round pick, and he said starting this week, and guess what? He didn't show up like he was supposed to. So
Mm,
having your number one wide receiver, a guy who could drop like 40 points, we've seen in the past. He only has what 1 week over 20 points this year. I think it's
one.
something like that, which
Yeah.
is and I think it's week 1. So that's just been downhill. Your number one draft pick not doing his thing. So definitely one of the biggest, fights of Steve's team is his number one pick, Tyreek Hill.
Yeah. And funny enough, I also said that the league to be afraid of would be Tyreek Hill. I mean, you know, I, you have guys like Alvin Kamara and James Cook who have been awesome this year, but we know that. But you know what? Those guys haven't been getting it. Like they've been getting it done, but it's not enough for Steve to win. The thing that's going to put Steve over the edge and get him to that next level is going to be Tyreek Hill. He's not going to get there without production from Tyreek Hill. So if we're going to look at Steve's team and be afraid, it's got to be because Tyreek Hill has shown up in some way late in the season. I mean, obviously not the week you would have wanted him in this past one. Hopefully, him and Tua can get something going and kind of put a save to Steve's season before it's too late.
Yeah, for sure. Like that. We have the same guy there.
Yeah,
Definitely
there definitely could be some
Yeah, it
overlap
might
today. I
be.
mean, what you're afraid of could also be what the league is afraid of. If they can get it going.
Right.
We'll jump into another team here with Emmett. Um, and since I like to talk, I'll just keep going and I'll roll with it. But I said Emmett and the league to be afraid of would be Maserati Marv.
That's
We
right.
saw this past week what he was able to do, and we've seen it before. Emmett is 2-0 when Marv puts up 20 plus points in fantasy, so it could be dangerous for Emmett. You've seen what his team can do, this young bunch. So if Marv can get it going, I mean, Emmett's team looked unstoppable, so could be big.
Mhm. Yeah, Marv's been, opening him in Dynasty definitely been up and down, but like
Mm,
when he goes off, he looks like what you drafted him for. So definitely a little afraid because you never know when he's gonna boom. When he booms, it's him like putting Emmett over the edge, like
yeah,
destroying his projections. So yeah, definitely would be afraid of Marvin Harrison, especially after last week. For Emmett, I put Kirk just because Emmett's been trying to find that quarterback all year.
yeah.
Now he texts like he wants Kirk to play at Tampa Bay every week because Kirk's absolutely slinging. But unfortunately, he does not get to play Tampa Bay every week, and we've seen a lot of bad Kirk this year, where he's thrown for like sub 200 and no touchdowns.
Yep.
So maybe they're figuring it out now. But yeah, Emmett would definitely want Kirk to not be one of the problems because quarterbacks are so important in this league.
Yeah, I mean, Emmett's QB position is something to be afraid of just for himself only,
Right.
with Kirk and even Mahomes in there sometimes. Um, but yeah,
Yeah,
definitely a frightful position for Emmett, and it has
absolutely. I
been
didn't want
so
to say
far.
Mahomes either
I,
because he's not even worthy of being afraid of anymore.
not worthy of a
So
look. He's not scary
Kirk's actually
anymore.
a real quarterback.
He's like the Scream movies. Once you're over the age of
Yeah,
like 12, you're not
right.
really
Yeah,
afraid
right.
anymore. It's just kind of funny.
Goosebumps.
Yeah, exactly. I like it. I like it. We'll go in theme here. We'll jump right to Barrera now. Who do you got as Barrera's scariest player?
So I went with Jordan Love.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know Baker is like the number two quarterback right now, so I do see Baker be started. I went Jordan Love just because he's the highest paid quarterback, and then he also has Tucker Kraft, who's been a reliable tight end option, and
Mm-hmm.
that's been a really deadly position this year. So if Jordan Love goes down, Malik Willis is going to be in. Now I think he's been a good game manager this year, but not really good for fantasy perspectives for all these players. So that's why it might be like two birds, one stone with Jordan Love going out. He loses like Jordan Love and he loses his tight end.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'd go with that.
Yeah, I mean, the injury bug has definitely plagued Barrera a whole bunch this year.
Absolutely.
He gets guys back, another one gets injured. Um, so I definitely been plaguing him, and I mean
Mm-hmm.
even with Baker in there, I mean Godwin got injured and
Yeah,
he's
that one
out.
in there
Meg
too.
Evans injured, so obviously you saw a
Yeah,
good week from this past week from Baker. I mean I think Barrera's biggest trouble is just starting Baker. He doesn't start him; he'll
right.
go off on the
Right.
bench. But for me, I said as a league to be scared of from Barrera's team, just looking at it, is is that dynamic duo of running backs with Jonathan Taylor and Kenneth Walker. If
Yeah.
again pending health, if they can stay healthy, those two are awesome and can definitely find the end zone a whole bunch and make whoever his opponent is have a tough day and definitely fearful.
Yeah.
Just to stay on
Definitely.
theme. So those are the two for Burrow that I chose. We'll see if his team can stay healthy another week. I know Burrow is hiding under the covers when
Let's see who he loses
when
this week.
when his player takes a nice tackle. He's got those Ninja Turtle pajamas, and hopefully
Right, yeah.
he's got a blanket to go with it.
They'll be joining him. His team will be joining him in the off season.
Yeah, for real. All right, we'll jump in. Let's do the next stranded team. Let's get a little Bardis Bro action. I started off here with Kyle Bardis. I think the player that as a league to be afraid of, and it might be an obvious choice here, but it's Puka Nacua. You saw him come back, and I just lost to Kyle without Puka Nacua in the lineup. So definitely, there's plenty more to be afraid of when looking at Kyle's team. However, I think Puka brings that life and that burst of energy that Kyle needed. I think his players were a little inspired by Puka's performance on the bench on Thursday night. They liked what they saw, and you know what? They want to keep their jobs in the starting lineup, and Puka's going to take it right from them. But no, 100 yards, 7 catches in his return. It's only up from here. I think the sky's the limit when you're talking about Puka on the Rams. That offense it's going to get rolling when they're healthy, and you know what? They have a shot at winning the division, so they'll keep on winning if they want to, and it's going to start with Puka Nacua getting a whole bunch of catches.
Yeah, we all saw the text what Kyle was sending and you were sending when he benched Puka, but definitely frightening because he was getting targeted a lot and people all thought we were going to get limited.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely, when they say he's not going to be limited, what's he going to do then? So definitely pretty frightful.
Yeah.
I went with Stephon Diggs just pending the injury they just received, and we all know how much hate Diggs got in the offseason from this league and how much Kyle was made fun of, and Diggs actually hasn't been that bad this year.
Yeah.
So, maybe Puka coming back negates this, but, it would be nice to have Diggs as your second flex option because that'd be a really strong play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a scary sight, especially because no Nico there, so Diggs is definitely getting a couple extra targets here and there. Now hitting the injury, and apparently it's not good. So
yeah,
we'll see. Definitely a scary sight for Kyle, who's already lost. I think Pittman, Nacua,
Right.
Puka was obviously out for the whole time. So injury bugs plaguing everyone. Everyone just get in the group chat and complain about it.
Complain.
Get that award going.
Cursed year.
Yeah, it always feels like it. We'll jump to the next Bardis Bro, who's also dealt with his fair share of injuries. Drew, what does the older Justin Bardis, the married man, have to be afraid of besides possibly his wife?
Besides his wife, yeah. That's funny. I went with Jordan Mason just because his team looks so good. His team looks really good. When I look at him, I'm not really afraid of anyone. I'm not afraid of these guys. But Jordan Mason, I think he started in the last 4 weeks and he hasn't reached over 9 points. And then CMC might be coming back in the next few weeks. But we all saw, what's the backup's name?
Isaac Rendo.
Rendo, yeah. He looked honestly better than Jordan Mason. So
he did.
Jordan Mason has been in Bardis' team since week 1. So kind of you lose you're starting him as an RB2. So
yeah,
that kind of takes a little bummer.
Yeah, definitely a tough spot to lose, especially late in the year.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, getting back and maybe not getting back from injury, but getting his quarterback from injury, I said Devon Achane is the guy to be afraid of. It's just you saw it early in the weeks or early in the year. You saw him and you were like, this guy could be the RB1.
Mm-hmm.
And if that is the case, then that's dangerous, especially on Bardis' team. But I saw before this past game, and he did it again, that Devon Achane was averaging over 22 points a game with 2 in the lineup versus 7 without. So, with 2 healthy, Achane is go, go, go. And, there's just no stopping him on the field. I can't believe he's not getting more carries than he already is. He only gets a handful, but the things he does with those carries is definitely a fright to see. And especially when you compare Achane with, wide receivers of A.J. Brown and Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
It only gets scarier when you're looking at
scary.
Bardis' team moving forward.
Very scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Achane looked great, and Mostert vultured 2 touchdowns that game too, and he had 10 yards rushing.
Yeah,
so,
literally.
Achane might be a guy that's gonna get 30 points a game with 2 in the lineup. So
could be. We talked
Should we
earlier.
trade for Tua?
Yeah,
health. Obviously, we maybe he's gonna get hurt in a couple weeks.
Yeah, if Tua could stay healthy, Bart could be all right.
Yeah, should be too. Yep,
Yeah. Let's get into. We'll save us for last. Let's skip us for
sure.
now. Let's go to Greg's team and what Greg has to be afraid of, or what the league has to be afraid of when it comes to Greg.
Mhm.
For me, I think that answer is again. It's tough. You don't want it to be the most obvious thing in the world, but it's pretty
Right,
obvious, and it's CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb was a guy last year that started off the first half slow, and then bolted into this wide receiver one spot and ended up winning people championships. Me, a KFG Dynasty championship. Um, I'll flex a little bit when I can. But CeeDee Lamb, I think, is that guy that could just do it again. And he's got one of the easiest schedules for a wide receiver in the second half of the year. Unfortunately, the Cowboys kind of look like crap. But if Dak could just pepper CeeDee with targets like you saw last night in garbage time,
right,
I'm sure Greg will take the 40-point performance in a game where it looked like the Cowboys got their butts handed to them. To
right.
say it nicely.
Good scenario for Greg because yeah, the Dak looks so bad. They're down all the time, and then you just have to huck in
Just
the
gonna
second half.
throw, and
So
who are
it's
they
like
gonna throw to? The only
meaningless. It's meaningless to football, but it's great for fantasy. So
yep.
yeah, definitely. Like yesterday, he put up 40 points, and luckily I had a good lead. But I like woke up, I was like, wait, damn, he went off when I took
Yeah.
him. So I was like,
Yeah.
sheesh.
Luckily for you, you already had a comfortable lead where you
Yeah,
could have went to bed and you weren't stressing about a
yeah.
40-point
Never
performance
was
from your
expecting a
opponent.
40 pointer.
Yeah.
For Greg, I went with Chuba.
Oof.
Chuba's been a strong RB2 all
Yep.
year, but Jonathan Brooks is coming back now. And Chuba has been, steadily declining every week. So, Greg definitely has a lot of like not big name, big touchdown dependent running backs like
Mm-hmm.
James Conner as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Chuba, I think he is going to lose the starting job because I think Jonathan Brooks is a lot better than him.
Yep.
So he might need to find a new RB there.
Yeah, unfortunately for Greg, the running back room definitely took a big hit when he lost Pacheco. And then, he's got a bunch of guys like Kareem Hunt, Chuba Hubbard, and James
Yeah, right.
Conner, which are some nice role places, but definitely a frightful group when you're just looking at it as a whole.
Yeah, it's like on paper, yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like any of those guys could kind of just lose their job at any moment.
Right.
A couple bad weeks here. Yeah, definitely,
Hmm.
definitely a frightful bunch for sure. And then last but not least, outside of us two, we'll do the Josh Bosch Country Warren. Drew, what does Josh have to be afraid of? It's not much.
Yeah, it's not much, but I did go with Brees.
Yeah,
Now, I
fair.
chose Brees because
The Jets
that
suck.
team looks there's like no chemistry there. Watching them, I'm like this, and no one wants to be there.
Yeah.
Rodgers is just derailing that franchise right now, and I just feel like maybe like during playoff time, their record might be so bad that are they gonna want to play Brees and Garrett as many snaps, or are they gonna like split more time with um I forgot the backup's name.
Braylon Allen.
They're really not who Josh also has, so obviously he's not gonna start both of them. So yeah, I would be a little afraid for Brees just because of how bad the Jets situation is right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's definitely something to be afraid of. If he can get a bunch of targets, he'll be all right. But definitely,
Mhm.
definitely a scary offense to be a part of right now.
Yeah, definitely.
And I mean, again, another. I just feel like the last couple have been super obvious, but I think it's Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
The dude is just keeps doing it. There's no stopping that man on one of the top scoring offenses in the league with a bunch of wide receivers that can't catch the ball. Um, he's just going to get peppered with carries, and I feel like, especially as you get later into the year, it gets colder outside, and the Ravens just love to run, run, run. The guy is just unstoppable. Touchdowns every week, and it's just not someone you want to play up against ever.
Yeah, for DBs too, he's the scariest guy in the league to
Oh,
tackle.
definitely scariest guy to tackle, and
Definitely scary. I think it might be scarier for the DBs than it is for the league to face Henry.
yeah,
But that's just me. Yeah, I mean, every year they're like, "Yo, he's 30. He's not going to be getting as many carries."
yeah,
Harbaugh said he's not getting 30 touches a game, and guess what? 30 touches a game, 1 to 2 touchdowns a game, 100 yards a game. So yeah, it's terrifying playing Derrick Henry
definitely.
for sure.
And then our final two here, we'll get into you and I. We'll start with you,
Yeah.
the guest
All right,
of the
let's do it,
pod.
buddy. Let's do
Drew,
it.
why don't you tell me what you're afraid of?
Um, I feel like my team's kind of coming together a little bit, but the guy I'm so high on my team is JSN. But the way Geno Smith played last week when he was crying on the sideline, that really game lost me so much hope because I'm like, this guy. I mean, JSN didn't even have a good game in garbage time,
Hmm.
so it kind of bummed me out. He was our wide receiver one that day. I mean, yeah, that's just I'm still gonna continue to start JSN, but like I don't know if like that ceiling's there for him that I thought that would be there because of how bad the guy who people wrote off is gonna get rid off again. So thanks, Gino, for absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Dang. You're afraid of your own team name. It's a damn shame.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
leader,
I
the
need a new
leader
one.
of the Najigba Turtles,
Yeah,
Jackson Smith. Damn. All
yeah,
right. Well,
bummer. Not his
as
fault.
as a league, let me tell you what we're going to be afraid of here, Drew. I
Let's hear
mean,
it.
you got your obvious choices. You know, you got your Lamar, you got your Kyron, you got your Jamar Chase, you got your George Kittle, and I feel like I'm just
Yep.
listing your whole team here, putting up monster performances week after week. But I think the guy here to be
Let's
afraid
hear it.
of is going to be Lad McConkey.
Yes, I love that. I
And let me
love
tell you
that.
why, because I just named all those names, and those are the obvious choices. But if you can have those four, and then you can add in Lad McConkey, who could possibly be breaking out here in the second half, that would be absolutely fearful for the league. I mean, you're talking about a guy who's with, to me, a top quarterback in this league in Justin Herbert. Now, Justin Herbert hasn't had um, any weapons this year, but you've seen what he's done in years past with weapons like Keenan Allen. He's turned Keenan Allen from slot PPR guy to
Mm.
three 30-point performances a week last year. I mean, I had it. I know that. And that you're talking about a washed up, broken knees Keenan Allen
Yeah.
at 30 something years old. We're talking about fresh Lad McConkey just coming into the league. I mean, if he can get going with Justin Herbert and they can finally develop some sort of passing attack. I mean, you saw
Mhm.
Herbert throw for 300 plus yards to a bunch of nobodies. If you
Right.
can make Lad that guy, that just makes your team even more scary because now you're adding in another guy who could get 20 plus on top of the four that are already getting you 20 plus a game as it is, and making your team just much more dangerous.
Yeah, I love Lad. Super high on 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Started him last week. Yeah, obviously didn't do him as well as he did yesterday, but definitely, yeah, would love for him to pan out. And I'm starting to believe in Herbert again. So
Yeah. Hey, yeah, I had
all
the
in.
jersey on before. He might be my pat. He might be the ghost of my past, but he could be the ghost of someone
I
else,
might need one too.
someone future. All right.
Yeah.
Last but certainly not least, it's myself. Um, I know. Do you want to say what I or do you want me to go first here for my own team?
I guess I can go first. Just
Yeah.
you can just talk about your team last. I went with Jalen Waddle. Now
Oof.
I know you're not
Terrified.
starting him. I know you're not starting him at all. I know you got him in the draft third round as well,
Mm.
and it's just how horrible he's been.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been bad, and he's not startable, and almost to the point where he's droppable. It's like sub 10 points like every week. I think
Yeah.
he's
No.
not gonna like.
No
I
startable
mean,
week.
like that's just horrible. And for your
Horrible.
third round pick, just not being able to start using him. I mean, obviously you got good backup players that you drafted well in later rounds, but yeah, having a third round pick there just not being usable is definitely something that I would be pretty afraid of.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I drafted Rashi Rice and then lost him, so I'm already
Hmm.
down a wide receiver as it is. You got Debo struggling with injuries every week. You got Calvin Ridley struggling with the Titans quarterbacks every week.
Hmm.
Um, so I definitely don't have those guys at wide receiver. So not having Jalen Waddle as well is definitely
Yeah.
definitely scary.
Hmm.
His performances every week are frightening.
Terrifying.
You don't even want to look at them. But for a league, and I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I have the wrong guy here, but I said as a league to be afraid of would be Jameer Gibbs. I had Barrera. He had Barrera freaking out after one run that I had already won the championship in a week where I had already lost. I didn't even win the week just because Jameer Gibbs had one carry.
One carry.
But no, Jameer Gibbs has been awesome. He's been the rock, and he's a guy that I wanted early. So to have him on my team and the way he's been playing and doing it on like sub 15 carries a game is what it is. He's getting 20 plus points on like 12, 13, 14
Right.
carries. If he could just get a couple more from Montgomery, and I mean, I don't see why not because when you look at the difference in the way they run, it's night and day. You see Montgomery go out there from 9 for 33, and then Gibbs turns around with 12 for 120, and it's like, why are we
Mhm.
even going to the other guy? So I think as the year goes on, if Jameer Gibbs can earn himself more carries and more touches, I mean, he's already a top six running back right now with a bye week, with less carries than a normal workload. So if he could just get a couple more, steal a little bit of Monty's work, I mean, sky's the limit for Jameer for sure.
Yeah, he's really terrifying. Like you said, he gets minimal touches and he's making the most. I mean, what if he got like Derrick Henry touches? he would probably be the RB1 on the year because he's so productive,
Yeah.
so shifty. Monty's obviously the power back, so I guess that's why they kind of want to keep
Yeah.
him. They have great chemistry, but like, yeah, definitely someone that
Absolutely.
I'm afraid to play for
Yeah.
sure.
Week after week. All right, well, that's all 10 teams and what we thought the league would be afraid of, and what we think you should be afraid of moving forward. And I'm sure a lot of you are already terrified as it is, just listening to this podcast. Hopefully you got through it. Hopefully you watched it all. And if you did, I want you to leave us a comment. Who's the player you fear the most on your team, and who's someone that you're fearing right now in the league? Like who are you afraid to go up against each week? Let us get some feedback here. Just because Drew and I are telling you what to be afraid of, maybe you're afraid of something else.
Yeah, we all have different things that we're afraid of. We all have
Exactly.
different
Different
fears.
fears.
So
Yeah.
some
Exactly.
people, it's injury. Some people, it's just playing fantasy football, like Steve. So,
Oof.
so
Low blows. Low blows. Nah,
yeah,
we always appreciate it on the pod.
yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. One man's spider is another man's closed confined
Yeah.
space. All right, well that should do it for this Halloween edition of the podcast. Drew, we always look forward to having you on, and I can't wait for the next holiday.
Ooh, I wonder what that's gonna be.
Spoiler alert. we'll see you
Can't
then,
wait.
Drew. Thanks for coming on.
All right, thank you, and happy Halloween, everybody.
Yeah, happy Halloween. Stay safe. Stay under your blanket. Don't look out. Don't want to be
Check the
afraid.
kids' candy.
Yeah.
We're opening it.
Get some candy for yourself. And hopefully we all get, a nice little treat this Sunday with some good fantasy football. Some good football in general. And as always, fellas, keep fantasy great. I'll see you.